The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the highway. My friends and I were driving to get KFC or McDonald's. The radio played softly, a familiar soundtrack to our journey. As dusk deepened, I noticed a strange light in the sky. The second I thought it may be a UFO, it was like a telepathic reaction, and it immediately turned and began to come straight at us. I pointed it out to my friends. Curiosity piqued. We watched as it grew steadily brighter, 3 white lights. The light began to descend slowly, its trajectory clearly aimed toward the highway. Our casual observation morphed into focused concern. Suddenly, the light vanished. Just as quickly as it had vanished, the light reappeared. This time it was much closer, hovering silently over the road ahead.
It was a black triangle, now with an extra larger amber light in the center.
Fear turned to disbelief as we sat there, mouths agape, struggling to process the impossible sight before us.
My friend slammed on the brakes, bringing the car to a screeching halt. We gaped at the craft. It was like something out of a science fiction movie, yet undeniably real. Time seemed to warp, stretching into an eternity within those few seconds. The radio crackled back to life, the music jarring against the eerie quietude surrounding the car. Then, as abruptly as it had appeared, the craft began to descend. The amber glow intensified, bathing the car in its unnatural light.
When I opened my eyes, the first thing I noticed was the silence. The radio was off, the engine was dead, and an unnatural stillness hung in the air. My gaze slowly shifted upwards, drawn to the source of the amber light that filled the car.
The metallic underbelly of the craft dominated my vision, its surface impossibly smooth and featureless.
It hung there, suspended in midair, defying gravity with an eerie grace.
And then I noticed my friend.
He was staring straight ahead, his eyes wide and unblinking, his entire body rigid. He looked vacant, like a puppet with its strings cut, lifeless in the presence of something incomprehensible. The next thing I remember is the blinding light. It was as if the sun itself had descended upon us, searing our retinas with its intensity.
A low hum vibrated through the air, resonating in my bones, making my teeth chatter.
Then, as quickly as it had begun, the light vanished, leaving an afterimage burned into my vision. Slowly, cautiously, I opened my eyes. The car was bathed in the familiar orange glow of the streetlights. Everything seemed normal.
I glanced at my friend, searching for answers in his expression. He was staring at me, his eyes wide with a mixture of confusion and fear.
The events of the past few minutes, though still vivid in my mind, seemed impossible, like a scene ripped from a science fiction film. The drive home was a blur. We drove in stunned silence, the weight of the encounter pressing down on us.
It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing the fragility of our existence, the vastness of the unknown that lay just beyond our perception.
As we tried to piece together the events of the evening, we realized something unsettling. There were gaps in our memories, periods where our minds drew a blank.
The moments leading up to the encounter, the details of the craft itself, even our own reactions, were lost in a haze of confusion. The more we tried to remember, the more frustrated we became. The missing pieces taunted us, leaving us with more questions than answers. The days that followed were a strange mix of normalcy and paranoia. We went about our lives trying to regain a semblance of routine, yet the memory of that night lingered, casting a long shadow over everything we did.
We couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that something was out there, observing us. We became hyper-aware of our surroundings, scrutinizing every unexplained light in the sky, every strange sound in the night.
The fear, once paralyzing, had morphed into a constant, low-level anxiety. We sought answers, devouring books and documentaries about UFOs, searching for any explanation that could make sense of our experience. But the more we learned, the more we realized how little we actually knew.
The world of ufology was a labyrinth of theories, speculation, and conflicting accounts, offering no definitive answers.
The encounter had changed us, leaving us forever marked by the mystery of that night.